welcome to another episode of Woodward's Watercolors. And you may be asking, where are we today? Well, today Bertie the Bongo, Isaac and I are in Castle Archdale, which is in the beautiful lakelands in Northern Ireland. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the drone up, let you see the gorgeous area that it is. We're all settled. We've even got water really close by. We show you our amenities. So we have a water tap right here. We have our power all connected in, and we have even discovered that the best way to put the roof, leave a section of the roof in and you've actually got somewhere to store all of your stuff. So let me go and send the drone up, and then you and I are going to go and paint. So I'll see you in a minute. So I found the spot that I think I'm going to paint. I'm going to actually paint tomorrow, so this has been a bit of a recce. So this Castle Archdale sits on the edge of Lough Erne. I'm not sure whether it's lower or upper, but it's such a beautiful place. There's little boats just moored here on the jetty, and we've explored the caravan park. It's got a chippy, it's got a coffee place, it's got a shop, it's got all sorts of things, and actually a wee pub, which is kind of cozy looking. So I'm going to plonk myself here at some point tomorrow, and I'm going to paint this beautiful scene that's in front. Isn't this gorgeous? Tonight's dinner, as cooked by Isaac, is fajitas. Good morning. One of the coolest things about the campsite, especially when it's sunny, is just the colours of the sky. We were met with 7 ducks just for foraging for food outside the van, and I love them up now, and I'm up and ready to just go and get myself sorted for the day. But what a beautiful morning. Look at that sunlight. Northern Ireland is a stunning place when the weather's like this, and it's not even cold. So let's get into the day. One of the things I love doing when you're in somewhere new is exploring a bit, and I was just able to go and get some pancakes to add to our Weetabix breakfast. But lovely place. I think the weather always makes everything so much more beautiful, you know, so this will be a happy memory. So plan to get some breakfast and then see what Isaac wants to do, but hopefully I'll go down to the jetty and we'll be able to paint together. So I'll see you in a minute. So with the breakfast set up, and we'll have the kettle boiling, there's Isaac's legs. And one of the cool things that seems to be in this place is that the ducks, when you're eating, come up. How cool is that? So before we go down to the marina, I'm just going to do a quick drawing exercise. Now I've picked something that you probably wouldn't normally pick, but I love that kind of stuff because it anchors you back to the moment. You know, that stuff that's the fabric of, your normal life, but you don't notice that whole mundane thing. Well, we're going to draw this really quickly. We've got a pit pen by Faber-Castell. It's the brush one, so it's going to be awkward, and it's simply just about getting out of that whole perfectionist mindset and just getting the creative juices flowing. So let's make a start. Just this, it's quite complicated in lots of different ways, wires coming out, poles and all that kind of stuff. It's basically the maintenance structure that serves the van and then plugs into the back there. But let's make a start on this. I've got my pith, they're really good, actually really like them. I was given this as a gift, but really nice sketchbook to work with. So just getting the page open, let me get you all adjusted so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and we're just going to simply start. And the awkwardness about this is the thickness of the actual pen, so it's not really very forgiving in any shape or form. And I was watching this guy, he was talking about drawing like a child, and I just thought his stuff was wonderful because there's just this total and utter blatant disregard for like it was people that he was doing and what they look like, and you know where teeth were going and eyes were going. And actually I absolutely loved his stuff. I just thought it was just wonderful. What's interesting to me actually as I do this, I am slipping into continuous line, which is just an interesting exercise and thing to notice. And the little nails, some of those going around like this. Get the line really heavy in this. Ooh, actually the pressure on this is going to make difference at different points. And then there's some bricks sitting over here. We'll have to get the bottom. I get all excited because when I get into it, I just want to jump all over the place. And largely I'll let myself, you know. But as I said, you know, these are probably the drawings that actually, if you assess them too much, you'd be all over this is wrong, that's wrong. We want to get away from that and just enjoy the process of drawing. And then I tend to find that you end up in this almost flow state that they talk about. And I thought that was just seriously arty language for, you know, someone trying too hard, but actually it is a real thing. You just end up, they've got lots of, it's one of those sort of blocks with a kind of pock marks on it, you know. And then they've got a wee tamp here, which is pretty cool. And then goes up here to another pole that is much, much smaller than the other one. Because I'm not really caring about it having to all be amazing. I tend to find that lack of care bears fruit in that you're just not as precious about the whole thing. And here's a bit of like the top. You can see the pipe running down, and that's actually even over the seam. Goodness me, if I'd been doing this 20 years ago, I would have been going, oh my goodness, this is so bad. Whereas now, yeah, always sign up. It's hard to even sign with this. And there you are, quick little sketch just before we get going. So just walking down now towards the lake. It looks like a beautiful, beautiful day. Well, here we are at the most beautiful location. Not really anybody around, apart from the boat deciding to discharge some water. It's about the only sound that we've got, apart from the lapping of the lake against this jetty. It's glorious. I've got all my stuff with me. I'm going to get set up and then let's make a start together. One of the things that I love to do is not consider too much what I'm going to paint and just go with whatever grabs me. So the exercise that we did before there, I just saw those posts sticking up in the top and the cables and pipes or whatever it was, and thought that would be a really good thing to draw. So I just go with that, whatever's in the moment. So I was thinking that I would do something with like the reeds that were behind me, but in actual fact what I'm going to do is the boathouse, and I'm going to talk a little bit about editing as well. So I'm going to get a still photograph of that so that then I can put it in the top left hand corner. You should see these little ducks that are just going past. Right, let me get organized. Okay, so a couple of things to show you before we get started. This is my little sketch. It's a mala sketch kids drawing sketch pad that I keep in the van, and it just holds all the stuff that I need. So I've actually taken out most that I need, but everything is in there that I need, inclusive of several different paint palettes and brushes and water brushes and all sorts of different things. So anyway, what we've got today is got my cup, my collapsible cup. I got this for 50p in IKEA, which is an absolutely brilliant job. It just stays in there, and then so I'm just going to scoop up some of the lake water and I'll use it. But today I got a email from the people at MEEDEN Art, and they asked me would I like to showcase some of their products, and I said sure, why not. So they have sent me watercolor paint, which I've already put into one of Isaac's palettes. I'll show you in a second. These brushes and this paper, and also in a ceramic palette, but it's too heavy to carry. There's going to be a link in the description, and there's also, I think it's 12% off you'll get with the code WW12, or yes, WW12, and if you enter that at the end of the checkout, then you get 12% off. So anyway, regardless, I'm just going to showcase. Never used them before. So these are the brushes. Now, I don't love the gradation of the colour on them, but anyway, these are the brushes that we've got. So we've got a number 2, I think that looks like about 1/2 inch. So some nice flat brushes, and also the fan brush, which I'll never use, but still a good set. I think this is roughly about 18 or 19 pounds, so it's not ridiculously cheap, but that's what we've got to use here. So actually, do you know what would make more sense? I'm going to try and get this back in here, and they're the brushes that I'm planning to use today. So I shall just set them on top of the little box over there alongside my water. And so for the paper, this is a gummed block, which I really like, which is absolutely perfect for plein air like this. And in my pack I keep this, which is a palette knife, for this exact purpose. So what do you do whenever you've got these is you just put that down. There's always a little gap you'll see that isn't gummed, which is where you put a knife in or whatever. You go all the way around, and then it reveals the paper, and then you can use that. It's just really something to protect it. Now this paper is 10 by 7 inch, 300 GSM, so normally I would work 300 to 350. The See What It Brightens 350 that I use, but because this is gummed down, then we're not going to have that buckling issue. It might buckle slightly, but because it's gummed, it'll continue to stretch it. Cold press, so it has the bumps, and it's 100% cotton. I'm not used to 100% cotton paper, so that will be interesting. Let's just get rid of that bit there. And then the other thing that I'm going to use today for a bit of a difference is I got this as part of a pack from, what do you call them? Scrawler box. I had subscribed for a couple of months, and this is a sketching soluble, water soluble HB, so I thought I'd just try that for something a little bit different today. And then the final thing is, Isaac was telling me that I should be showcasing and selling these more to you. These are little seconds that he's given me, so I get all of his cast-offs. But this is his little credit card one, and it's filled with the MEEDEN watercolor paints, so I'm interested to have a go with that. Cadmium, yellow ochre, I think that's a alizarin crimson, cerulean, I think that's maybe that's ultramarine, definitely, sap green, raw umber maybe, and then black. So I thought they were the colours. So that's his little 8 credit card sized one. So how that works is you take the lid off and you pop there, and that's what you've got, and it fits in nicely, so you've got an extra mixing area. And then also we've got the larger one. There's that brute dumping out some of its water, again the same colours again, and this same area here. So I think what I'll use is probably the credit card sized one today, or will I? I think I will use the credit card sized one. So that's the 8 well larger size. He's also got a 4 well of that, and then we've got an 8 well credit card size, and he just told me this morning over breakfast that he's designed a 4 well one that he hadn't told me about. Good for him to let me know, eh? Okay, so I think that's all the bits and bobs that we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get some water, and then we can make a start on this scene that's up ahead. Now, what I'm going to do, let's talk through this a little second. So we have got these yellow buoys, which are obviously a dividing line. They clearly don't want you to sail into that area. Okay, that's another part of the Lough Erne lake. So I'm going to remove those. Then also you've got this ugly sign here, which is the 5 knots, giving you the speed limit, and also the tarmac and the boat. So I'm going to remove all of that, and it actually reminds me of like quite a constable scene in terms of the colour in the building and the greens and all of that in the water. So that's what we're going to work with. Okay, so let me grab some water and we'll make a start. Got the water all organised. So what we need to do now is just make a start. So the good thing about the drawing board is that it gives you, or the pack is, obviously you've got the space to be able to, you know, store all of your supplies when you're on the road. And I just keep it there all the time because you never know when you're going to have the opportunity to. But also you get this board. So I don't often use pencil with watercolour. In fact, I did a wee while ago, and well, it's actually a number of years ago now, and it wasn't something that I loved by any stretch. So just going from the left hand side, which is just my normal place to start. And I think the normal place, reason it's normal for me is because it's familiar. That's really the only reason. And then I've got this window here, and also because this is not that sharp a pencil, it's going to help me to abstract this as well. And it goes up into because this is water soluble, obviously this is going to affect whatever it is around it. So it's going to be interesting. This is an experiment. I've never used the MEEDEN watercolor before either, so that's going to be another interesting thing to do. So we're all leaning nice and heavy here to be able to get the structure of you also can tell that that's really quite soft because of the water soluble nature of it. And an HB would tend to be, normally HB would tend to be much harder than this, you know, so this is something we're working with today. Then we've got the roof. So seeing the perspective, I'm going to do a video about perspective and how if you can't see it, you can't draw it. And I think that that's one of the main challenges, is actually seeing the lines of perspective as they are. So we're gonna, and I've exposed less of that than actually is exposed, but we're just going to go with that because that doesn't really matter. It's not a big change to the life. That's going to be there. And then the roof goes across there, and then it has these kind of ornate lines across there. Okay, so then got more of the trees coming along there. So we're just simply providing a bit of a structure, all right? That's all we're doing. And then it goes right across to here, and then you have the line of the water coming here. And then some of the other parts of one of the islands. I think there's a ridiculous, probably several hundred islands on the locks, which is just a lovely thing. Okay, so that's what we want there. I could take that back actually further there. That would be more helpful, wouldn't it? And then also want to just notice some darker areas there. That'll do. Rightly. Okay, so that's the drawing bit done. Let me lean in so you can see. The sunlight's very strong, but that's the drawing of the structure there. You can see it over there. Hopefully you can see what I've done. Well, you're going to have that actually just remembered. I'm going to put that in the top left anyway, so you're going to be able to see that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do then is I'm going to use this one actually, I think. This one is a size 6. These are brand new, never been used. Let's put that on the bottom. Don't need to obviously keep that, but it does keep the hairs on it that little bit better. See, these paints still sometimes on my thumb. I poured them I think 2 days ago, so they haven't cured quite yet. I think typically it's probably about a week for them to cure. So one of the cool things about Isaac's palette is that you can clip that on. Now this is, as I said, was a second, so let me just move. Do you know what, if I can lift my water up, that would be much more helpful to me. It might make it slightly more complicated, but you can still see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to do my 3 lifts. I actually haven't brought anything to clear off the water, so this could be pretty interesting. And I'm just going to agitate this one for the blue, and there's a beautiful, beautiful blue sky day today. So no complaints here. Sometimes what I do is add in just a touch of, yeah, that's pretty good. So we're just gonna bring that down around. Now I think actually what it could be is a little bit stronger. Now because these paints are really still soft, sorry, need to move that in a wee bit more. I'm not wanting to agitate them more than I think I should, but not a lot of flick off it, but I think we need more water. So used to flat edge, which obviously takes in so much more. So one of the reasons why I have poured them in here and why I don't really work with straight from the tube is because what happens, and I'm pretty experienced at doing this, but what happens for me is that you end up using them. It's very, very hard to get the right kind of mix and consistency. So that's why I want it to cure at every time that I'm using it. Now you can see there, just ever so slightly, that is causing a little bit of, just going to drop that in there. I actually need that a bit stronger. See, this is where if it was just completely cured, there would be absolutely no issue, because I would know that's much more like it now. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted initially. Oh, here's a drop. And I have nothing to get it up with, so actually this is going to be the perfect opportunity to try the dab and grab. So squeeze off the brush, and then hopefully this will hoover it up, get it to a point. Yeah, there we go. It's not too bad. This is the reality of painting outside. These things happen. Okay, that's it away. Okay, and then so I'm going to lift another little bit. Take it across to this area here. So because I'm not used to this brush, the point in this brush is very, very fine, so it would be obviously really good for detail, but just not great for what I'm looking for today. So just gonna, the thing that you get with the cotton is the nice dry brushing effect. I bought some Bauhang paper from I think it was Temu about 3 or 4 years ago, and I really liked the effect that you got with the dry brushing, you know. Okay, so that's what we want for the sky. That's probably the last time I'm going to use that brush in this process. I'm just squeezing that off. And the plastic bit actually doesn't want to come off. Oh, it does, got it off. Now, the plastic bits are a total and utter nightmare to get back on again. That's it, he managed. Okay, so what we want to do is use this flat edge brush. Sorry, it took me a minute there to get it. It's a number 6. We want to see how this one operates. There's that water venting again. So for the mix for water, tend to want to have it more, definitely more ultramarine. Okay, and the other thing in then is adding in a little sap green just to bring it to a more marine sort of a colour. Now, not that we need loads and loads of that, but just adding in a little bit of sap there to that. And that'll give me a good differentiation between, with the introduction of more of the ultramarine, which is really, the water is pretty blue today. Oh, something's fallen off. I'll not be concerned about that. And then just a little touch more of the green. The water is so beautiful today. Okay, so there's a speedboat going across. So we're going to use the hack for the water, which is to just rock the brush like that and move it side to side, okay? And that's going to give me a good amount of the ripples. Deliberately going to agitate that and bring that down a little bit because that area actually is that bit darker. Move the brush up again, go back into the corners. So lovely. Do you know, one of the things that I was reflecting on just as I was arriving here was, you know, the opportunity of doing these videos to spend time with my son, to spend time with my brother and even my uncle, and hopefully others in the future, but also to be in these beautiful places. And to have that as part of your job is just a wonderful thing. So thank you to those of you who are watching, because obviously I get support from that. Also for membership, I think I have 9 members now, which is just great. Let's just do the tap test. Oh, quite nice with this. But also membership is there. It's a primary means of, I'm working through actually at the minute just doing a little series for the members. But it's a primary means just of supporting me for this channel. So thank you to those of you who've done that. Okay, so I don't really have an awful lot of, I don't even have a cloth with me. I do have an old sock, sad but true. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the colour that we have there. I tend to mix from the colour that we have because it's just a good way of not wasting things. I'm going to add in some yellow ochre. You can see from the size of this pot, and I mean, he is my son and I want him to do well, but I mean, what a guy. Designing this at 13 is really pretty amazing, isn't it? And it's so functional. So these are, I think they're a £5, £5 UK. Not sure what that translates into dollars, probably more like 6 or 7. He's had really positive feedback. He sold over 100 units now of between all the palettes together. So what I'm going to do, I'm not sure about this colour, so what I'm just going to do is begin to put some of it down. So this is layer 1. It's a little bit too vibrant for me, so just bringing it down a little bit with the yellow ochre. Kind of leaning half of the brush on, and I'm going to take that over a little bit over here to where the boathouse is. These ones in the distance, this section here is much more bluey, so I kind of want that to dry before we do anything else. And that's obviously wet in the sky there, so I don't really want that to bleed, so that's why I'm staying back a little bit. So Isaac's he's chilling at the van, just living his best life, I think, I hope. A little touch of the alizarin, which will change it ever so slightly. And I really enjoy mixing colours. And I think then Toby kindly has said, oh, that's a nice colour. Toby said to me that he finds that how I mix is quite intuitive now, and I suppose that's fair, very kind of him, but it's, you know, it's something that I have a high value for, so therefore I work on. So I would suggest if you find mixing colour a stretch, just keep going. Like anything, funny, my son he loves his golf, and recently had hit something like 220 yards of a drive, and that's much more than I'm able to drive. And I just thought that's because he has just kept persevering, really. So we're all rewarded when we keep going with something that we don't maybe naturally find that easy, you know. So I think he does find golf easy, but you know the point I'm making anyway. Okay, so I think I'll do all right for layer 1. And then what I also want to do is catch the grass here. So for the grass, I'm going to take a little bit of just a little touch of that cadmium yellow. Now obviously with this, so I'm going to alter the lines here because it's grass. So therefore the line work is going to be a bit straighter there. Establishing just a little bit of a boundary line there. Okay, so I think I'm okay with all of this, how this is progressing so far. Now also underneath here, because it's so warm today, it's drying beautifully. Okay, so let's get a little bit of hopefully get the roof. Whoa, look at that colour. Far too much, Colin, far too much. Bring a little bit of the black into it, a little bit of the orange. Now because this is wet, it's really hard to tell. Let's see what the blue does to it. Yeah, that's it, the blue, cerulean blue. Cerulean blue is fascinating as to what it does with different colours. It's particularly great for getting stonework, I find. Just going to warm this up a little bit with the cadmium, will do the job there. Maybe another little touch. So because these are still not totally cured, you can see, sorry, bring it in the shot again. You can see how challenging it is to lift the right amount so that it's not going nuts. I'm finding that seriously challenging here. Let's go with this colour though. So that'll do rightly for the roof. Now for the roof, obviously, you want to keep the lines really nice and quite tight and straight the best you can. And then, so for this one, a bit of the door, using the black, I'm going to use some of that red so it's really dark. And also, like, what I can do is, because this is where flat edge brushes are just amazing, it's going to provide me with a nice straight line here. Okay, so then over here, it's cool painting with the water from the lake, isn't it? I really enjoy that. There's green on the, just a little bit of green on the ultramarine there. Oh, there's people going down to the boat. But they're coming over here. But sure, that's all right. It's just a little touch of, so this darker tone here. Oh, they're going out on a little canoe, which is cool. It's just going to use this darker tone here along this section. And this is now completely dry, so it's going to use it here. Different sections, that's great. Really pleased with that colour. Lift up some of that green, because I've got limited palette space as well. Now I'm interested to see how this dries and if it's, is it grainy. The paint's dead on to use. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't say it's, I don't think it's their premium range by any stretch, but it's absolutely fine to have as a, in these little palettes and to try it out. Okay. It's funny to me that that boat just casually vents every so often. Okay, so the trees tend to be mixes of such dark areas and then much more green and lighter areas. So because this is actually dry now, we're able to move on and just I'm looking to see places where I can see that as a colour, and hopefully what you'll begin to see is that this begins to build up in terms of layers. So it's interesting to me how the water-soluble pencil is actually working quite nicely with this, you know. Sort of feels a little bit blocky at the minute. Let's move this in. Oh, that black's nuts. Really strong. Okay, so also at the side here. That water, okay, so the other thing is it's happening here. Is it the... It's getting dark. So the side of the boathouse where the shadow is. That'll work okay for me. Doing more sort of... The only thing is when you lift like that, it ends up being a bit more manufactured. Just... Now the black then sort of interjects itself right across. Just did some certain areas there. So let's take that across here. Okay, now what I want to do as well is get a bit more of the light-hearted green. Now the problem with this is, so I'm going to reach into my trusty bag. Yes, and I found a random pair of socks, which who knew would then become a tool for Colin to do his watercolour. So what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning off the excess colour. Okay, good job. That sock will never be the same again. Okay. Right, now we've got that cleaned. Should give me a fresh enough palette. I want to take some of this brown. Sorry, keep you in shot, I keep forgetting to do that. So this is the brown for the, just touching on the red. So nervous of these colours because they aren't actually cured. So if there's nothing else you remember from this video, hopefully you will get more than just that, but best to let your colours cure, really. Okay, and just a little bit of brickwork across here. Using the corner of the brush, and what I'm, well, do you know what? I was going to move that there, so I'm just going to add in a little bit of the shadow. Just trying to touch this as gently as I can because I don't want this to be dominated by either colour. Maybe just dip in the corner like that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then I think actually adding a little bit, wanted a bit more purpley shadow. Daniel Smith has a colour called Moon Glow, which is just absolutely wonderful for shadow. I've never actually owned it, but it has certainly inspired me to use it, so that's more of a shadowy tone that I want there. And it's actually good. Pleased with that. Good. Okay, now across to this section, I'll do the same here. Just the idea that boathouse is kind of poking out on that other side, so it should have actually kept that other colour. I'm going to try and mix that again. So that was some of the brown, a little bit of the cadmium, a little bit of the red. It's a little bit brighter than I would want, but what I can do is lift some of this, and that should hopefully, between these two palettes, that should settle that down nicely. Okay, good job. And we're not overly mad about it being completely accurate. We're just trying to get the general feel of the place. So we can add in some of the brickwork there. Okay, I think we're building quite nicely here. Now, the green over in the distance beside the boathouse here, so those greens, because they're in the distance, for some reason tend to take on a blue tone. So if these were cured, that would be easier to do. Just a minute, I am gingerly just touching the colours. And also, we're not looking for masses of detail here. Okay, I'll do rightly. But what I will do is I'm going to squeeze off. I'm going to squeeze off those the brush, so I can do a bit of a dab and grab just to lift it, because it is something that's in the distance rather than it's something that is close up. Sound like Father Ted. Close up and far away. Okay, so the next thing is, I'm just looking at this, the green of the grass, so let's add another layer to this. So it looks actually a bit more like grass. I'll do rightly. And also that green, as I said before, what I tend to do is mix a colour and then look around and see, okay, where else is this colour? And wherever else I find it, then I'm just going to apply it. And it's not, for me, about trying to get it to be the most accurate representation of everything. There's a little bit of light hitting that there, which I'm happy to capture. Now the paint seems to be layering quite nicely, which is good. This family are just about to go out in a canoe, which is lovely. That's the thing about a place like this, it is so family orientated. People are here on their holidays, so they're obviously more relaxed than they would normally be, you know, it's lovely. Okay, good stuff. Now we've got a good mix there. Add in a little bit more green. I'm also going to add in a touch of that. A little touch of the blue as well. See, always like seeing what those random colours do. Because this is a little bit stronger, it's allowing me just to dot a little touch more accurately as well. So if you go from general to specific, So those little moments I find can be really helpful. Just adding in those little bits of detail here. So I'm just added in a lot of that alizarin, just mixing in a little bit more of the green here to try and, it's really, really dark under here actually, this area. Just wanting to darken that down and also bring that darker bit to that edge there as well, so it defines the edge of the boathouse. And gives a little bit more deep definition to the trees as well. So this paint does feel a little bit chalky. So don't know that it's something that I would want to use all the time. Delighted to have it. It's something that I can use if I need to. I think I would probably reach for a little bit more premium than this, but I wanted to try this and to give honest feedback. Oh, here's that venting again. So just bring that colour is great. Oh, very good. That's pleased with that one. That's just a nice sort of bridging colour for the side of the grass area. The other thing that I want to do is, because that's coming through there, and then this little bit here I want to get in there as well. I love that the boathouse, I didn't realise, Isaac was saying to me, it's filled with water. It's not ridiculous, I didn't know that. But there you go. You learn something new every day, don't you? There's just swans giving off. Oh, it's very dark. See? Because it's not cured. Okay, so this is just going to be good for a little bit more definition in a couple of areas there. And that's actually going to be really good for just a couple of other areas of shadow here, particularly this line here. And I'm going to add just a little touch there. Just a little bit in that section there. Okay. It's lovely over the water, obviously you can hear things really clearly when people are talking. Not that you're trying to nosy in, but you know. Okay. Well, I'm pretty pleased with that scene. So that's on MEEDEN 10x7, 300 GSM full cotton paper with MEEDEN watercolor and some of MEEDEN brushes as well. And we are in Castle Archdale in County Fermanagh, Northern Ireland. And there you are. Well, that was such an enjoyable half hour or maybe 40 minutes I was there. Really lovely, just sitting in the sunshine, listening to the water lapping, and I got chatting to the people that were in the boat. So if you're watching, they shouted, "What's your YouTube channel?" So if you're watching, thanks for the banter. Always makes it a lovely part of it, just getting to chat with people when you're there. So enjoyable trying out those MEEDEN products. Loved the paper. Thought the cotton paper was brilliant. Didn't love the watercolour because I felt it was really quite grainy, and they had informed me that it isn't their premium watercolour, so I'd be interested in trying that. The brushes were great. Still prefer the Rowney simply because that's what I'm familiar with, but lovely to try out something a little bit different. So what I'm going to go do now is go and grab Isaac, see if it's maybe possible to rent a canoe. We're trying out these e-water scooter paddle things. I'm going to give it a go anyway in Enniskillen later on today. But that's it from me for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and then you'll be notified of when new videos drop. For more information about me, you can head to woodwardswatercolors.co.uk, and I'm going to drop in a link to the MEEDEN products and also a link to Isaac's 3 palettes. So if you want to support him and buy them, they're brilliant. Really love them. And that's it from me for now, and I'll see you in the next video sometime soon. Bye everybody. Hello everybody, I'm back home, and as you can see it's not the end of the video, because after that Isaac and I went into Enniskillen and did our e-boarding, which our water scooting thing. It was tremendous going around Enniskillen, but what I did was I took some drone footage which I want to share with you, so I'm going to pop on that music that I love and let you see it. And as always, I know I've already said it, but I can't help not. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you sometime soon. Enjoy this next little bit.